There's also a displacement wave moving toward us.
On screen.
Oh shit, not good.
In the year 2371, the USS Voyager mysteriously disappeared, along with the Maquis terrorists that they were pursuing. It would be determined that the ship had been displaced by an entity known as the Caretaker, finding themselves in the Delta Quadrant. This caught the Federation completely by surprise. Starfleet Command had no idea what occurred to the USS Voyager. Or did they? You see, none of this makes any sense when you think about it. Not really. Unless Starfleet Command, or perhaps Section 31, wanted the vessel to get lost in the Delta Quadrant. Let's just get into it.
Janeway to Paris.
Go ahead.
Report to the bridge. We're approaching the Badlands.
Let's go ahead and analyze the very first mission assigned to this cursed crew. The USS Voyager is dispatched from Earth to track down and capture a dangerous terrorist cell as well as recover their chief security officer. The terrorist cell, according to Starfleet intelligence, would appear to be in the Badlands. The Badlands were known for intense plasma storms and gravitational anomalies. It's not the best place. It's very dangerous, in fact. Most vessels avoid this area, and it's generally only used in emergencies or as a staging area. To be fair, while it is a dangerous place, the USS Voyager is adequately prepared for the mission. Voyager is an Intrepid-class vessel that was launched from Earth McKinley Station for its maiden voyage in 2371. Let's go ahead and break it down. Classified as an Intrepid class, it's ultimately a long-range explorer vessel. The ship was specifically designed for deep space exploration. It has 2 warp drives, at least in theory, that allow it to travel for longer and an engine that uses fuel more efficiently. Also, for its time, it was the fastest in the fleet, though that does bring up an interesting quandary. You see, this vessel can handle the Badlands, sure, but it's not meant for recovering personnel nor search and destroy. It's meant to be on the far edges of Federation space, not next to known Cardassian territory. This would be like having Enterprise go from Farpoint Station after that event to Jupiter to save one of their engineers. It doesn't make a lot of sense when you should have other vessels available. In fact, there were other ships that were equipped to handle this situation. We know that the Defiant was out of mothballs at this point and was probably the better choice. Even if they didn't want to send the Defiant, runabouts could do the job as well. And before anyone says anything about the Valjean being able to take them on, remember that they can ultimately one-shot Dominion strike vessels, so I wouldn't count runabouts out. Also, what's particularly interesting about using these alternatives is that they're much closer. The Defiant and the runabouts were right next to the Badlands, whereas Voyager had to literally travel from Earth. Literal weeks, if not months, depending on how you want to read the galactic map. And I will reiterate, while I understand that Janeway did want to get her man, sending Voyager to pick up one person just doesn't make logical sense. But let's discuss that too. Let's discuss the staffing decisions.
I wasn't expecting a pop quiz.
Just wanted to make sure all those pips haven't made you forget you're a scientist first.
How could they?
Starfleet takes one of its newest vessels, one that was likely an anti-Borg ship, and gives it to a brand new captain. Not only is she a brand new captain, green around the gills, but a captain that was a scientist with little to no command experience. She did serve in the Cardassian border wars, but she was not a tactical genius either. She was an explorer. Now this does make sense if you're assigning the vessel to a long journey and wanted someone who could handle deep space assignments. It arguably makes sense. It's still not the best, but not the worst either. However, it is completely unsound if you're going to recover an operative and take down the Maquis. And if you look at the crew of Voyager, it doesn't get much better. You have someone like Ensign Harry Kim, who is on the bridge, who is just out of Starfleet Academy, or should be, to an actual convict. We're not exactly sending our A-team here. Remember, they're going up against terrorists that know the terrain and have been fighting the Cardassians for years. And they had former Starfleet officers in their ranks. Yes, Tuvok was there, but that doesn't mean that they're going to instantly win. In the end, everything works against the premise of sending Voyager. Starfleet Command had to be filled with idiots to approve any of this, which, okay, fair, but it would seem that this was a huge bungle by Starfleet. Or was it? You see, Starfleet Command knew that this had happened before, and probably guessed that it would happen again. In 2371, the USS Equinox was pulled into the Delta Quadrant by the Caretaker. They had a far more grisly fate, but Starfleet was still aware that ships are going missing. It's quite possible that Starfleet Command, or again Section 31, were aware of what was going on. And what if, and just hear me out, what if Starfleet Command, or Starfleet Intelligence, or Section 31, or all of the above, ultimately determined that the Equinox had been taken to the Delta Quadrant? Through tech or some kind of intelligence, they were aware that an entity like the Caretaker had scooped them up and moved them along. If that's true, maybe they planned to send a ship to the Delta Quadrant and come back, bringing technology and wonders aplenty. And it's really simple, honestly. You just let a ship get taken and then you move to find it. This actually isn't without some merit in the show either. Remember, the Pathfinder project was underway some years later to find Voyager, under one Reginald Barclay. Why would they even think to look in the Delta Quadrant in the first place? Why wouldn't they look in the Delta Quadrant, the Gamma Quadrant, the Alpha Quadrant, the Beta Quadrant, unless they had some clue of where they needed to go? Now, if we assume this did happen and you didn't want to officially sanction it, then you'd probably do it the way they did. You wouldn't exactly send your A-team. You wouldn't send Jean-Luc Picard or Sisko or anyone else. No, you'd get someone brand new, you'd give them a ship that could handle it, and then you'd send them on a mission that they wouldn't question, even though someone who was tenured, who had been in command for a while, probably would. You'd send somebody who'd be a great explorer, but wouldn't see any of the red flags. And I mean, hell, they named the damn ship Voyager. Ultimately, the entire premise of why Voyager was in the Badlands, the justification, and the staffing all point to an inside job. Starfleet Intelligence, or Command, or Section 31 knew somehow that the Caretaker was going to scoop the ship up, and they hoped it would all work out. It's either that or we accept that Starfleet Command is even more stupid than any of us imagined. But all of these are just my opinions. What's yours? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.
Because I finally uncovered your true objective.
And what's that?
Me. Stardate 32611. The Federation sends my parents to study the Borg Collective. They know my family will be assimilated. That was their intention. Stardate 48317. Voyager is sent to the Delta Quadrant with orders to retrieve me. When they reach Borg space, Captain Janeway negotiates an alliance with the Collective in exchange for information regarding Species 8472.